allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Need a motion to approve the county commission minutes of December 26th. You all had a chance to go over them. We're just doing this stuff from last year. 2019. I need a motion for that. Okay, I got a motion on the floor. I need a second.
I'll second it.
Got a second. Any more discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion passed. Okay, I need a motion to approve the minutes of the 31st, 2019. Okay, I got a motion on the floor. I need a second.
No second.
Got a second. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion passed. Consider motion to sign memorandum of understanding with SDSU.
Sherry's here, I don't know if
I can read this thing.
there's any-
Sure, you got anything to say about this, or any
That's your
comments?
agreement with the state of South Dakota and SDSU.
I'll need a motion for that.
I so move.
Okay, got a motion on the floor. I need a second.
I'll second.
Got a second. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion passed. Any old business? Yes.
I spoke with Brian with the Department of Labor and asked if he could be on the phone with you guys. And he asked that first he get a list of what your questions will be, so that he doesn't have to research them on demand. So if you guys want to just send me an email with the questions that you have about it, so that, and then I'll have them on the next meeting.
About the comp time.
Yeah.
Any other old business?
Excuse me.
Okay.
Along with that memorandum of understanding, there was an evaluation sheet or whatever that was to go with it. I don't know if you guys want to do that.
Commissioner Holgard is in on that.
Oh, okay.
I'll get that.
Okay, I just wanted to bring it to your attention so that it wasn't overlooked. So, okay, sorry.
Okay, I'll need a motion to go out of commissioner. Okay, I got a motion on the floor. I need a second.
I'll second.
Got a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion passed. I'm going to convene as Walworth County Plan and Zoning Board. Is there any old business? New business? Okay, got a motion on the floor. I need a second.
I'll second.
Got a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion passed. Convene as the Walworth County Board of Zoning Adjustment. Consider motion for proposed conditional use permit. Is Gary here? Jamie, did Gary talk to you at all this morning about?
Not this morning, last night he did.
Okay. 'Cause he was gonna, we need to call Gary first. Gary was writing up some stuff, some conditions.
Did he talk to you about the price of what it would cost to redo that road?
He said he was going to contract with
KMG's
JLG to see how much.
Yeah.
Gary's in company.
He's on his way?
Yep.
Okay, let's wait a few minutes for Gary. I tell you, Jared, do you want to talk about the conditional use?
Well, I don't, Kevin said something about getting Jeremy on the phone. He knows more than,
Okay, I was just gonna wait till Larry gets here.
okay.
Jamie, did you get a chance to review the permit? I mean, any questions or anything that
I talked to Eric yesterday.
you did talk to her? Okay. So do you have some stuff going on with that or on the conditioning?
Basically, it's up to you what conditions you want to put on that permit. And then you also would have, if you want to have a road agreement, but, that's up to you on what you want to put on the conditional use permit with regard to the requirements.
I'm getting that look.
Don't hurry, we'll wait. Center of attention, Gary.
I just walked up 2 flights of stairs. Where we at?
On the conditional
use. I have a draft that I didn't get read through. Obviously, it's extensive. What's the approach you're planning on voting on? You're planning on voting on the conditional use agreement today? The only thing, and this is a kind of a legal issue, that since we don't have enough time to make amendments to the copy that I've been provided, and this one is drafted for wind tower operation, I'm liking what I'm reading. But number one, can the commission on the legal side just pencil in that that by virtue of the conditional use agreement, that a haul road agreement is required to buy more time?
If you want to enter into that agreement before you approve the conditional use permit, then that's what you need to decide if that's what you want to do.
My opinion, Jim, you're gonna have to concur that since the developer has not seen, this is merely a model to draft ours at. Since we don't have something that the commission would approve, as this is a haul road agreement to be attached to conditional use permit. Number one, the developer hasn't received it. I would assume that the process would be additions and deletions from this agreement so that the board can vote on the contents of the agreement, and from there it would be provided to the developer for review. And maybe even provided to the developer when we're comfortable with the wording of the haul road agreement.
That's what I would do, get it to them right away.
Like I said, it's this, for us to put together a haul road agreement that's this extensive, we have to pick and choose from something that existing that we're comfortable with. Like I said, you people will have to approve the haul road agreement to be presented to the developer. Agreed?
Agreed.
So we're just putting in there that there will be a haul agreement agreed on in the future.
It's kind of hard to do that.
We were advised, once you sign that conditional use agreement, you lost all your bargaining power for haul road.
Can we put in there the conditions?
Well, they would have to agree to it. That's the only thing is, we can put the conditions in, but, which I don't think we have yet, because is that what Eric sent you with part of that stuff?
I came in early and I read half of it. It's, like I said, it's extensive.
And on that one, there's stuff that you would pick and choose. You wouldn't put the whole
Yes.
thing in there, because it's, that one's
It's
roads
drafted
for wind energy.
wind tower development. And some wording has to be extracted, and a few little items that I felt should be incorporated. You are the county commissioners, you are legal counsel. I expressed my opinion, and this isn't intended to hold it up by no mechanism, but I think there's some hoops that have to be jumped through.
Right now, we're Board of Adjustments, we're not county commissioners.
Okay.
So we're,
Which, here again, legal counsel. Board of Adjustments, in my opinion, is the ones that establish this this conditional use agreement. Ultimately, I think the county commission on the legislative side is the ones that review the copy as revised for approval. Agreed?
Jamie, couldn't we make, whatever you want to call it, like a checklist that says, that attaches to that road haul agreement there? Just different things that need to be checked, because it's impossible to do that at this time of the year. I mean, the road is froze.
There's provisions in here that theoretically, with all road agreements, when you have two entities, Walworth County developer, you go out and the first thing you do is a haul road inspection. You do core samples, what's there for gravel base, what's the road top width, utilities aren't really a factor at this stage of the game, but something that the developer knows that in upfront, honest approach is that, hey, we've got 3 inches of gravel base. The consensus is that we're providing them a segment of Walworth County highway system roads for use in the construction of the development. All these factors are recorded, that when you started, this is the condition of the road. When the construction is completed, and that's a provision in this haul road agreement that the developer notifies the county that we don't need a haul road agreement anymore. At that stage, if you guys consider road improvements another factor after the fact. But a haul road agreement is merely based on the construction activity.
Is the only thing holding up your vote is the road agreement?
I would say yes.
That's what I would say.
So then, do you want to have a road agreement in place first before you approve it or not? That's the question, it sounds like.
Well, I was hoping that we could have this in place, not all the writing, but the agreement that, yes, we are gonna have this road haul agreement.
Well, then the next question is are you comfortable going into with saying we are going to have one, but we haven't agreed on what the agreement is?
No, I'm not comfortable with that.
And that's kind of how you're looking at it right here.
Yes, and yes.
Because that was my understanding, is the only thing that was kind of holding this up is what obligations we're going to enter into with regard to the developer and improving or maintaining or construction on the road. Is that right, Gary?
Yes.
And so then, like I said before, the next question is do you want to approve the conditional use permit before you have a road maintenance agreement or road construction agreement or haul road agreement in place? That's your decision.
Yes.
If you put in the conditional use permit that there will be a haul road agreement contract, is that something that can be agreed upon later?
The only thing is then you already have your conditional use permit approved, and who knows if we'll ever get an agreement. That's the whole thing. You lose, I don't want to say leverage because that's not the right term, but it would be better to go into the approval once you have everything in order, if that's your condition.
Could you word it based on mutual agreement of the?
If they're willing to accept it, Gary and I talked a little bit yesterday. I mean, you could word it as favorable to the county as you would like, and they can either accept or reject it. But I would think that it would be the most favorable towards Walworth County on what we determine to do at a later date based upon when construction is, how long construction is going to take, what number of vehicles they're going to use on the road, things like that. Also, there's, Gary had mentioned that Highway 47 is going to be redone in 2 years. Potentially tie that into some type of, into that agreement, just because that they're already going to be doing construction, we could probably get a better deal depending upon what we decide to do. All of those things are kind of up in the air. So if you want to do an agreement that is extremely vague, and go that route, that's fine. And that's kind of how you're looking at it, right, Gary?
Yeah, with all due respect, Jamie, projecting forward in the event that Walworth County, after the construction activity is completed, Walworth County commits to road improvements to satisfy the best of the best. The comment I made about consolidating this project with another project is on the back burners at this stage. You know what I'm saying? That let's get through the growing process. This is your first my mind's going crazy, Kevin. Might have been your fault.
Conditional use permit.
Yeah. Let's get through this process. You understand that I think Jamie is, and I'm kind of the opinion that if you approve a conditional use agreement with a footnote that a haul road agreement is being drafted that recognizes the party interests, you're approving it prior to having the agreement. If you're comfortable doing that, I don't know if you would bind it to the fact that if a haul road agreement isn't approved by both parties, then you come back to the table if that's an option. You understand what I'm saying? Because I'm kind of out on.
How long would it take you to go through that and draft up what you would feel comfortable of presenting?
Jamie, a haul road agreement, it's subject to, I can amend this with some assistance from the legal counsel side. It puts the pressure on me that Gary says this is a good agreement. I don't want to be in that position. So in response to your question, Kevin, that we have to make additions and corrections of this to make it fit. You guys need a period as a county commission board, not the adjustment board, that we approve this, and if it gets to that point where this is what we like and the developer is on board with it, I'm assuming there would be a motion by this board to accept the haul road agreement with Entity Dairy Farm at a commission meeting, and that motion would be subject to, within the motion as an attachment to conditional use agreement. Agreed?
Deb had something, I just.
Could we make, if you do a tentative haul road agreement and attach it to the conditional use permit, could we then they can go ahead with some of their stuff at DENR, could we then make the building permit contingent on an agreed upon haul road agreement? Because after they get approval from DENR, they have to get a building permit. So could we make the building permit contingent on an agreement between both parties on the haul road agreement?
I don't think we can, to be honest.
Like
If you make application for building permit, all you have to do is provide your plan, then it goes to planning and zoning and they make the determination.
But if they don't get a letter of assurance from DENR because of this conditional use permit, we cannot issue a building permit.
Yes. I guess I'm, as the Board of Adjustment here, I guess I'm a little bit confused in that our job here is basically to approve this conditional use permit with, if we want to put in there a road haul agreement, we can do that. But it sounds to me like this is going to be one of those things where both parties are going to have to agree to this road haul agreement anyway.
Correct.
So if we put this in there as a condition that we are going to add a road haul agreement to the conditional use permit, based on both parties agreeing to it, I'm trying to figure out why we couldn't do it that way, with that condition. Because number one, they're going to have to agree to it. If we wait for 2 weeks to put this in there, they're still gonna have to agree to this road haul agreement, correct?
Correct.
So I guess my question then would be, could we not do this under a condition that we're going to put this road haul agreement in there? And then both parties would have to agree to it. And if both parties agree, then the road.
So would you do it more than like, approve it and it becomes effective once the road haul agreement becomes approved, or?
Agreed by both parties.
Both parties would have to agree on that road. But that seems to me like that's what's gonna happen anyway, correct?
Yeah.
So I mean, if we do that with that option, that both parties have to agree to this road haul agreement, this permit basically is approved with those strings attached. Once those are agreed upon, then we can go forward. And we'd still cover our bases, I feel, but.
Well, to me, because they gotta have a road, so we gotta come to the terms with the road. I mean, to me, we agree on this conditional use permit, and then have it in there, just like Marion said. I guess that's how I thought we could do it.
What do you do down the road when you signed your conditional use permit and they don't agree to what we want them to provide on the road?
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. I mean, they need the road.
But if they don't agree to that, they're not gonna agree to it,
They've already got a signed conditional use.
but then it won't go through.
I think if the conditional, if they don't agree with whatever road haul agreement you put as a condition on the conditional use permit, it's up to them whether they want to go ahead with the project or agree to the road haul agreement. Even if you've given them that conditional use permit, if it's contingent on the road haul agreement that we want, it's up to them to either come to an agreement or not go ahead with the project. But they have their conditional use permit to go ahead with DENR.
That's, I guess
That's correct. That's how I would look at it too.
I guess I thought that's how we could do it.
I've been avoiding legal questions.
I just think that what Gary was looking at is it would be nice to have the road agreement in place, so we already know what we're obligating the county to. Is that a fair way to put it?
Yes, however, I'm of the same opinion the board is that you're dealing with a conditional use agreement. One of the conditions is we need a haul road agreement, and we need to buy a little time to fine tune a haul road agreement. As long as the entities and you people are comfortable with the fact that one of the conditions under this conditional use agreement is that a haul road is approved and accepted by both entities, of which there's a signature block. As soon as both entities agree to this, then the conditional use agreement is in effect.
Correct. I would agree with Gary on that. And I think that's what you're...
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm not sure, basing it on the Board of Adjustments, our job is not to fine tune everything. Our job is to make sure that all of the ordinances and everything else are being met and fine tuned. And if we are going into this thing with the concept that we can put on the conditional use permit contingency that both parties agree to this agreement that's going to be put together, because they're going to have to agree to it anyway before it's okay. But if they don't agree with it, then the conditional use permit is null and void, and we'd have to go back to square one.
I would agree.
Jim, Davis, what do you guys think?
I think you better have your condition, or your road haul agreement up front before we approve it. And I don't know how long, could one get that reviewed, you think, Gary, in a week, or?
Have you read any of that thing?
No, I've never seen that.
I've read it
You've
too.
gotten copies of this one
I'm sure this is the one.
for the
Yeah, there's a
Hyde
lot.
County? And
The
I
wind
don't-
energy haul agreement, or road agreement.
Yeah, there's a lot in there.
A lot.
And that one is a very thorough one. That doesn't mean we have to have one that thorough, but it's an example of one that leaves no stone unturned.
But I guess how I look at it too, though, is we should, to really, that agreement there, I know you can put your little, we're gonna check on this at a later date, the road, but I mean, to do the right tests, I mean, the ground's gotta be unthawed. I mean, and I know there's a place,
There's provisions in there that,
but still, I mean, to be, Davis, what do you,
We can still, we put that in there, we still have control of that road. I mean, what we're gonna do with it.
well, I would think we would.
We always have
Agree with
control
it.
over the road until we make an agreement changing control, or changing what we're going to do. It's still a county road no matter what. It's just that, I think a lot of people are worried that we are getting into some type of obligation guaranteeing them some improvements. We don't have any agreement for improvements or anything other than the maintenance that Walworth County would normally do on that road as of right now. Correct, Gary?
yes,
And so, once we get a haul road agreement, we are changing what we as a county are going to obligate ourselves to do on that road in whatever time frame we agree with the developer. Isn't that how you look at it?
no.
Okay, go ahead.
This merely, it's from start of construction as informed by the developer. That I think it's 30 days in advance of construction activity, they inform us that we're gonna begin construction in 30 days. And I think the number is 30 days. So we get notified by the contractor or the developer that we're starting on February 16th. That's when the haul road agreement kicks in. According to this, we do a haul road inspection prior to, so there's no stones unturned, that the road top is 24 feet wide if there's a lot of activity that causes fatigue to force the road to go wider. It's all documented information that at the time of the haul road inspection, this road was 24 feet wide. Based on...
Okay, I see what you're talking about during the construction phase and all of that
Yes,
stuff.
and this is merely drafted for the construction phase. This has nothing to do with the commitments that you may make at a later date. This is merely for the construction phase. You're looking at me, you understand?
Yes.
So, and that's...
So this is
normally the-
basically, that one, okay, so I'm mistaken. That one is basically, this is the condition of the road before the construction phase. This is what the agreement is that the developer is going to be required to reestablish once the construction phase is over. And then we're gonna have another portion at a later date.
For improvements.
Correct, correct.
If you
I thought that
choose
had
to go
both
that
of those
way.
in there, Gary, I'm sorry. I thought that had
If
both.
if you choose, you don't
Yeah.
have any obligations at all to say that when this construction is complete, we don't go back to where we were. You maintain that authority. Or you can be a good neighbor and say, hell yeah, let's give them the best of the best. Then you get subject to, how much do you want to budget for it? And this is merely construction phase, and I hope everybody realizes that.
See, I was mistaken. I thought that had the other
But that's
portion into.
going out in a whole different animal than what we're currently in. That's going into what the commission would decide, not the Board of Adjustments.
I would agree.
Because all we're doing as Board of Adjustments right now is basically trying to agree on whether we're going to pass this application and make sure that all of the ordinances that are out there for this requirements for this CAFO are being met. And within this conditional use permit, if we were to put in a contingency based on a road haul agreement, I mean, that road haul agreement is going to have to be agreed upon by both parties either way. So once, if we pass that with the condition that we're going to have a road haul agreement in there, of which you are going to put together and both parties would agree on, I don't see where we're not covering everything. Because all the other ordinances have been met. The 2 mile setbacks, all the different neighbors have signed off that are there, that's all been met. So that part of it, I think, is what we're having to deal with right now.
I agree.
We're just protecting ourselves a little bit more by putting this contingency in there to have a whole agreement.
Right, right. And we would have that ability to make sure that that road, when they're done in the construction phase then, is basically back to what it was when it started.
Right.
Yes.
Make sure that there isn't any destruction or damage done to that road.
This has nothing to do with future
Right.
grants or anything that we.
Because that would be a whole different, that's going to be the commission that would decide whether we're going to bring that road up to a great road or highway or whatever we want to do.
Yes.
You are correct.
You want me to ask Jeremy if he agrees?
Yes.
The other thing that we need to point out, I think, and it says in there, like the waivers that you guys have gotten from a couple of people. You know, it was mentioned here that everything, the conditional use permit, everything goes with the land. In the ordinances, it says that those waivers, and I would suggest probably too, the conditional use permit and the road haul agreement get filed against that piece of property in the Register of Deeds office. In fact, I think it says in the ordinances, those waivers and that stuff do not become effective until they're filed, and then that way they would follow the land. It mentions that in there a couple of times in those ordinances.
Jeremy, are you hearing everything we're saying? Is he there?
Jeremy,
Yeah, I have a hard time hearing Deb back there, but I'm getting most of it.
Tell him I'll tell Jared.
do you agree with what we're talking about?
Yeah, I follow you guys. I should try to check with Kerwin on the other end. I got him connected to this, but I'm not talking to him.
But this is just the condition of the road as is now. It has nothing to do with improvements later.
Right. No, I follow you.
Okay.
I didn't hear what Deb was saying though there in the background, I guess.
She's gonna tell Jared.
It's just get it filed with the Register of Deeds so it goes with the land.
Okay.
All the waivers, the signatures and different things like that that were signed from other landowners that are within that 2 mile, all that stuff has to get registered, filed with the Register of Deeds, and that all becomes part of that land then.
Okay.
I guess, James, and I'm gonna ask him, how could we word this in there to attach to that conditional use?
Just approve the application with under the condition that the haul road agreement is completed between the county and the construction individual builder, whatever you want to call them.
Well, now I'll ask the commissioners again, are you?
That's how you're looking at it right here. Or no?
To the effect of the roadside.
Correct.
Yes.
That's it, just the construction phase.
Jeremy, I hope you can hear me. This is Gary. I shouldn't even bring this up, but this thing is subject to and the DNR regulatory conditions. How does this board know that, can they assume that all of the DNR permitting stuff has been applied for? You know where I'm going? Is it stupid to consider those factors in conditional use and commissioners?
No, that would be a part of it.
The part of the,
That would be under our findings. Because we gotta go through, the way I was told, we gotta go through all of these and have written findings for all of these and make a written report to the developer, and that all attaches to the conditional use.
okay. So will that be worded in your approval? That's
Yes.
kind of where I'm going with this thing.
That'll be part of the written findings.
Okay.
Yes, Deb?
We spoke with DENR, and it is not odd to have a conditional use permit approved before they go to DENR, because basically what DENR is permitting and approving are water issues, drainage issues, sewage issues. So there's quite a few things that have to go to DENR as far as engineering and geological stuff like that, that can get kind of costly. So they apply for their conditional use permit to be sure that it's not going to be stopped at this level before they spend the money to go to DENR. So it's not odd that a conditional use permit is okayed before application is made to DENR.
Here's what my suggestion would be. I would move that we go to written findings and go through section 6-05-01, paragraph 6, A through H, and make our written findings. And agree to all A through H, and then we can put in there this agreement for the Paul Road. This is what I was told that we need to do.
Page 94.
And if you'd like, I would go through, I would read them and go through each one if you want. Paragraph 6.
Okay, you want to start?
Yeah, if you want me to do it.
That don't matter to me.
Paragraph 6 says, before granting any conditional use, the Board of Adjustment shall make written findings certifying compliance with the specific rules governing individual use, conditional uses, and that satisfactory provisions and arrangements have been made concerning the following, where applicable. A, entrance and exit to property and proposed structures thereon with particular reference to automotive and pedestrian safety and convenience, traffic flow and control, and access in case of fire or catastrophe. For that one, I refer to the map that was provided. They do have designated entry and exit on there on County Road 261. There's an entrance on the north side and an entrance on the south side off County Road 261. So in my opinion, they have met that criteria for 6A. Everybody agree?
Yeah.
Jim?
Yeah.
Davis?
Yeah.
Okay. B, off-street.
You made note of County Road 261. That is technically County Road 101. I think you're probably reading the Streeter Avenue.
Okay, yeah, it is street.
Yeah, that's, I'm sorry if I'm wildly technical, but
No, that's,
321st Avenue.
yeah, it's technically County Road 101. It's part of the county highway system.
Okay.
county, so you want it referred to as County Road 101 then?
My future reference stuff will be County Road 101.
And
Okay.
county is that 321st Avenue?
Uh,
1st Avenue.
the north and south road. Yeah,
Yes.
that, I think it's 321.
Okay, so in my opinion, A has been met. 6B, off-street parking and loading areas were required with particular attention to the items in A above, and the economic, noise, glare, or other effects of the conditional use on adjoining properties and properties generally in the district. There is not going to be any off-street parking. All the parking will be in the parking lot adjacent to the barns. So I believe B has been met. Everybody agree?
Yep.
6C, utilities, refuse, and service areas with reference to locations, availability, and compatibility. Again, referring to the map, everything will be well inside of the 160-acre property, and I don't foresee anything being impacted outside of that property. So in my opinion, I believe C has been met.
Agree.
D, screenings and buffering with reference to type, dimensions, and characters. The only thing that I was told, I don't know if you want to put anything in there for trees along County Road 101 to break up any sites or anything with that. Jeremy, do you know if there's any plans for any trees along the road for anything like that, for a buffer?
Well, I wouldn't think there'd be any between the buildings and the road, you know, just kind of snow and everything.
Okay. Which,
They're talking about putting something just in that corner where that northeast corner, just a landscaping type deal, but just for looks, like maybe a waterfowl or a sign or something to make it look nice, but
okay,
no trees along the road that we discussed.
okay. So I don't see where that would be any big factor anyway, being it's 4 miles off Highway 12. And everybody has a signed agreement with any other landowners, adjacent landowners, so in my mind, I believe D would be permitted. Unless anybody's got anything with that. Anybody have anything?
I don't know.
I don't think that they have signed agreements from adjacent landowners. I think they only have waivers from landowners within the 2-mile radius that have structures. And the adjacent landowners were all notified of the hearing
Right.
and given a chance to, to talk about it, but I don't think there are any signed agreements between adjacent landowners.
but there is no opposition from anything in the public meeting, so that's what I'm going by is, I think D has been met.
That's where you would put in your, like you're talking about, request for shelter belt or something like that, if that's what you want to put in your conditional use permit.
And that's subject to our zoning rule.
Right.
So if you don't have any requirements, you're correct that that has been met.
6E, signs, if any, and proposed exterior lighting with reference to glare, traffic safety, economic effect, and capability and harmony with properties in the district. Jeremy, do you know, is there gonna be any exterior lighting on any of these buildings that are gonna affect the traffic coming down County Road 101?
There'll be lighting, yeah, there'll be lighting there, but it's not something that's gonna, affect the road any. I think a lot of that stuff's if it goes along a town or major highway.
All the lighting should be facing inside of the road towards the buildings, correct? Nothing really
Yes.
shining out towards the road?
Correct.
Okay, in my opinion, 6E has been met then.
Yeah, everything will shine towards the barn or the feed pads or whatever.
Everybody agree?
Yes.
6F, required yards and other open spaces. According to the plan, I believe everything has been met. We will put in my opinion, we should put a stipulation in that at the end of this, that all state and federal regulations and DENR regulations be complied with, and that'll take care of all the required yards and other open spaces. Everybody agree?
Yep.
2 more to go. General compatibility with adjacent properties and other property in the district. I believe that should be met with, it's ag property and it's there's all farmland around it, so I believe 6G has been met.
I agree.
6H, the roads providing access to the property are adequate to meet the transportation demands of the proposed conditional use. The Board of Adjustment may require the applicant to enter into a written contract with any affected township or other government unit regarding the upgrading and continued maintenance of any roads used for the conditional use requested prior to the issuance of a conditional use permit. This is where I would put in there that this whole agreement will be put in place and agreed to by both parties. And then that should take care of 6H. Jim, do you agree?
I still think we better have that up front before we approve the conditional use. You better have all your agreements made, because if you don't agree on down the road, then you've shot yourself in the foot.
But it will be in place if it's agreed upon.
Yeah, if it's agreed upon.
Am I right, Jamie?
You're correct.
Well, I guess I'll go back again to say that if we don't have a road agreement, I mean, what good is a conditional use permit gonna do them?
That's correct
It
too.
ain't gonna do them any good to have that if we can't agree on the road. I mean, so we know that we don't have the road agreement in place, but that's gotta be part of it that's met, so if they don't agree to it, I mean, you need both to have.
The string we have attached to this whole thing is that both parties have to agree to this conditional use permit. So we're not signing something that we can't get out of. If they're not going to agree to our conditional use permit, then their conditional use permit is not valid. So,
Yeah, if we can't agree on it, we're not gonna build it. I mean, that's just plain and simple. We gotta agree on all this.
right. So I guess I'm of the opinion if we put that in there as a contingency that we both agree on this conditional use, or excuse me, on this road haul agreement, that all things have been met and the Board of Adjustment can agree to pass this conditional use permit with that string attached.
Okay, so again, Jim, would you agree on that?
And I still feel a whole lot more comfortable if we have that agreement signed when we issue the conditional use permit.
Okay, Davis?
You know, that agreement, are we gonna have something ahead of time before we take it to them to accept?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely, gotta have that written up. That's part of that conditional, yep. That's gonna be part of that whole thing. That we have to agree on that
And we're gonna
road.
put down what we want,
Yep,
And then we take it to them.
then they have to agree on
that's
it.
what we're signing today.
No, we're not signing that agreement, that road agreement today, because it's not drawn up
Okay,
yet.
if I'm asking that.
Not the road haul agreement.
The only thing we basically assign is this conditional use permit with the contingency that both parties are going to agree on that road haul.
How soon will we do that?
As soon as we can get it drafted up.
It's gonna take a little bit for Gary to draft it up, and for Jamie to, and then
And
it's,
then we approve it, we tell them what we want.
Right.
How much time do you want to have to look at it before we sit down
that's
here?
how I look at it.
I'm of the opinion, and how government would work, is that by the commission meeting when?
23rd.
23rd, you will have a draft copy.
I would say we should probably, do you have time this week?
I have to make time.
Okay, why don't you pencil that up, give it to me, and then at least we should probably get a draft out by the end of this week to everyone.
Mhm.
If we're gonna get it approved by the next meeting, because that way, everyone can look at it, everyone can mark it up if they need to, and then send it back, this is what I don't agree with, so that way when we come in on the 23rd, all it is approved.
Right.
Rather than do more haggling and then we're out another 2 weeks or another month. That's kind of how I look at it, so if you just want to pencil it up a little bit and then come in and meet with me and we'll make some changes and then we'll shoot out the draft to everyone, let them look at it and make any marks on it, any changes, so that way we can have it ready where it should just be approved really without any discussion at the next meeting.
You just send it to the Hoffmans too?
Yes, everyone. It'll go to everybody. All of the commissioners and Hoffmans.
Cause that's all we're,
Yeah. And that,
is the road haul agreement. It's all
That's
we're
what we're
talking
hanging
about.
on.
right, and that's going to take care of all of the, if the road haul agreement is approved by both parties at that meeting on the 23rd,
We're done.
then it's done. But if it's not approved, either way, I mean, the road haul, we could go till the 23rd, and if it doesn't get approved, we still don't have a conditional use. I mean,
That's correct.
It's all contingent on whether or not we're going to approve that road haul agreement.
That's correct. And then that way you can get your findings of fact down and all of that stuff. That way all you do is just basically rubber stamp everything because it's already been looked at and already been agreed on by everyone. That's kind of how you were looking at it, right? Rather than send a draft out and we make all these changes and we're 2 months down the road and we're still making changes to the road haul agreement and it's spraying everybody's.
Okay, so that takes care of 6A through H, and that's all that's in ours, but I would put I in there to say that they have to abide by all state and federal DENR regulations also. Just as a cover all type thing. That was a suggestion that I had given to me.
They have to do that anyway.
Right. But it's in writing this way.
So with that, that would be our written findings. And with that, I will make a motion to approve the conditional use application of Maurice Hoffman.
Okay, I got a motion on the floor. I need a second.
Kevin, I got one more question. I don't know if you guys talked about it earlier before I was on, but I mentioned to Greg yesterday about that, at least the setbacks, the 300-foot setbacks, if there would be any lenience there, especially on that south side of the lagoons between that road that goes to the vacant farm. Because 300 feet, I mean, it's quite a ways in, and it's just gonna be wasted space if we can move them lagoons closer to that road. It would give us more room on the north side for feed pad or manure stacking or whatever.
That would have,
Between the lagoons and the road is just, 300 foot of wasted space.
that would be a request for a variance. And Deb, correct me if I'm wrong, but all we're doing is approving the conditional use permit. Then when, that would be a later date to come in and ask for a variance to adjust the setbacks.
That would come
That'd be the
before the
building
building permit.
permit process? Okay.
Got that?
And did you have something else, Deb, that you wanted to
That's
say?
fine, I just,
I think it has to be
wanted
told how to say.
to, bring that up and something we can talk about. Yeah, we don't need to know that today. Either way, we can make it work. It just, would make it better, I guess.
Okay.
Okay, I got a motion on the floor. I need that second.
I have second.
You got a second. Any more discussion on it?
Would you read the motion again, Becky, please?
The motion was simply Holgard made a motion to approve the conditional use permit application of Maurice Hoffman.
And nothing being said about road hole agreement, huh?
Well, we put that in our findings of fact, which you're gonna have to approve later, once they're, we tentatively approved those findings of fact, but in those findings of fact, that's where that road haul agreement's gonna be, that's where the, compliance with federal, state, DE, and R stuff, all of that's gonna be in that paperwork.
And it's gonna have to be mutually agreed upon.
Correct.
Do we need that listed in the form of the motion, that's there?
Because
I would say that we
it's a
approve
condition
the,
we're adding to the conditional use permit, so I think it should be mentioned.
that we're approving the conditional use permit to include what already has been applied for and include the fact that a haul road agreement
We'll
will,
put in there that all written findings.
or just state all findings of fact are to be complied with, or requirements to be complied with.
Because then that goes all the way from A to I.
Yeah, we added an I for the,
That's ordinance, you can't just add to it, that has to, I
um,
mean, you can add it to your findings of fact, but it can't be
Right.
added to the ordinance.
right.
Okay.
You have something, Becky?
I am not comfortable approving it without road hole agreement.
Any more discussion?
Mr. Jones? Could you read the motion back again?
Holgard made a motion to approve the conditional use permit application of Maurice Hoffman. Schlomer seconded.
So you're not going to include what Mr. Harris just said about the findings?
Well, the findings have already, they are gonna have to get written out and approved. We've kind of dictated them, but they haven't been approved yet. Go ahead.
Well, since they're in our zoning ordinances as things that need to be followed for a conditional use permit, then do they have to be listed in the motion? They're
I don't
already
think so.
listed.
I think you have to have findings of fact that it's a separate document that goes along with the conditional use permit. I can get with Greg and we can basically review the tape and go through that one, and we can also put the condition in there with regard to, but that wouldn't be in the findings of fact, would it, Greg? The haul road agreement?
It would be written onto the permit itself.
To the permit itself, and complying with federal, state, and environmental would also be on the conditional use permit, correct?
I think so, they have to do that anyways.
Right, so, but I think you want it on there just to cover bases, right? So we can overkill.
But if it would make everybody more comfortable to say that in the motion.
Yeah, I think that was number more of the concern is, do we need to list it in the motion that the conditional use permit is basically going to have the attachment of the road haul agreement
And
compliance with all the other deals?
Correct. So you would want to,
I will amend the motion to include A through H being met and the conditional or the haul road agreement being mutually agreed upon
and the environmental conditions complied with.
and the environmental conditions.
And I would second that.
Any other discussion on that? Yes?
I have one other question. It was stated that there was no opposition at the public meeting. I guess my question is, do you feel you adequately informed the public about the hearing, being that it was postponed and then canceled and held the next day? Do you feel you adequately informed the public that the hearing happened?
I would say we did. It was on the radio and I would say it was adequately done.
And when it was advertised, what papers were used to do the advertising?
I don't know what paper they all put it in.
The two official newspapers.
So like people in Bowdle weren't aware of it or Holden?
I don't know if there are official notification deal, if that makes any difference.
But there's people that live in Walworth County that probably don't get the Selby paper, but get the Bowdle paper, and same with Holden, that live close to there. Is there something in the ordinance that says about advertising for the hearing?
It's always been advertised. I don't know. Just Jenny.
Public hearing requirements is that we post notice one time at least 10 days prior to the, and we're talking about the public hearing, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and that public hearing was posted to officially happen on what day? The 30th, and was that our snow day? Okay, and so then, what did we do, is that your question? What did we do to notice the rescheduling of the public hearing? Since we didn't do any of that.
Well, as far as I know, it was on the radio, as far as I know.
The
Can't say
radio
for exactly
station
sure.
and the newspapers were contacted. And it was posted on,
Just the day before, because it was a weather-related postponement.
That's the only reason why it wasn't on that day.
And I don't know if that's compliance or not.
Well, in my opinion, another take on that, if somebody was really opposing this, and they knew it was on Monday and it was blizzarding, they would have called the county or got a hold of somebody and found out when it's gonna be rescheduled.
Yes, Becky.
also the other question on what papers it was posted in, we're required to post in our designated official newspapers. And that happens at this meeting every year, and so that's where we publish the items.
And that's what the requirements are for a public hearing.
Yes, in our official designated newspapers.
So the public hearing, was that advertised from the county commissioners, or was it advertised as the zoning board?
Board of Adjustment.
Board of Adjustment? So is our requirement the same as a county commission?
I wouldn't know why not.
Greg, you're the zoning
Yeah.
officer.
No, it doesn't. It says, what it says in there, it does not necessarily say the two official newspapers. It says in the areas generally affected by the cable.
Here's
We
what-
posted it in the two official.
Here's what it says. Notice of hearing shall be published once 10 days prior to the Board of Adjustment. Public hearing in a paper of general circulation in the area affected.
Right. And we
I would say it's
We
been done.
posted it in the 2 official, that's all we posted.
And also, wasn't all the adjacent landowners notified?
37
Yes.
of them.
So I would guess they were.
I would still say with the
everyone was
newspapers,
well informed.
the newspapers that were contacted were not in the general area where this construction is being done. And by notifying the papers on Monday, there's no way the paper's gonna come out with a notification for the next day.
We got a motion and a second. Any other discussion? I'll go roll call. What?
I want the motion clearly stated.
I will make a motion to approve the,
Conditional.
This is still the amended motion,
right,
so we need to act on the amended motion before we can act on approving the conditional use permit. And so I had Hogard move to amend the motion that A through H be met and Hall Road agreement being agreed upon and state federal regulations.
mutually agreed upon.
And state federal regulations be met.
Correct.
So that needs to be seconded.
And that was seconded.
Okay.
Marion seconded. We went through discussion.
So then the amendment will have to get approved, and then we vote again to approve as amended.
We vote on the amended.
Vote on the amendment?
Just the amendment right now.
And then we go through the whole thing to vote on it as amended. That's how you read it, right, Becky?
Would you read that again, Becky, how you got the amendment read, or wrote?
Hogard made a motion to amend the original motion that sections A through H be met and a Hall Road agreement agreed upon by both parties and state and federal regulations are met. That's the way I understood it.
Should it say the conditions A through H under chapter like 6.05.01?
I think we're specific enough, because we're already gonna have those findings of fact in another document,
Okay.
rather than amend another motion. So
Well,
that's how I would look at it, because we are gonna have that already in another document, the findings of fact, which are gonna be attached to the conditional use permit anyhow.
Yeah, and I was gonna list those prior to the motion being made.
Okay, now we'll vote on that. Amended. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion passed.
And then now you want to remove your motion as amended.
Now, I will make the motion to,
As amended.
as amended.
It's already made. You just voted on the amendment.
Now, you approve the amendment, now you have to approve the amended.
Motion.
Yes.
Do you need a second on that again?
Need a
Yes.
second.
I will second.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay.
Nay.
Motion passed.
You might want to go
Roll call because
you're
you
gonna
need
need four.
David's good.
Yeah, you voted, David voted for it.
Yes.
Yeah, so we got four.
4 to 1.
Greg?
Oh, I thought it was a yes.
Greg needs a roll call vote for his records on a conditional use.
Just go run my double line.
I'll go roll call. Kevin.
Aye.
Marion.
Aye.
Davis.
Aye.
Hope.
Nay.
Schilling votes aye. Motion passed. All right.
I think we are other
Done with that for right now.
members of the board.
What's that, Jeremy?
We should be here today.
Jeremy?
Yes, I got it.
Okay, I'm gonna hang up with you. I'm tired of listening to you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Okay, any old business?
Was the other members of the Board of Adjustment notified of this meeting?
The commissioners, the members of the Board of Adjustment.
Lyle was one of them, and I don't remember who you appointed the other one.
Lyle's not on it, I don't know.
On the point, the Board of Adjustments, I believe so.
I believe it was Harley and Lyle appointed as alternates, and that would be in effect if one of you were not present.
What's that?
They were appointed as alternates, so that if one of you were unable to be present, then they could be present.
Okay.
We just had to have, if the commissioners were here, we didn't need no alternates.
Right, we just had to appoint alternates in case of a place where the commissioners couldn't be here.
Any old business? New business?
Make a motion to adjourn the Board of Zoning Adjustment.
Okay, I got a motion on the floor, I need a second.
No second.
Got a second, any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion passed. All right, we'll go to public forum. Not yet. Not yet. Public forum. Linda, have you down?
Yes. I have a couple things that I'd like to clarify. As far as posting the agenda items, State Statute 1-25-1.1 states in part, shall provide public notice with proposed agenda that is visible, readable, and accessible for at least an entire continuous 24 hours immediately preceding any official meeting. It doesn't state that you can only it can only be provided 24 hours in advance. That is the minimum amount of time that it shall be provided. It was stated that the agenda is not completed until 9 a.m. on Monday, so that's why it's not provided before then. But the commission's been adding and deleting to the agenda at almost every meeting. So basically, the agenda is not even completed until there's a motion made at a meeting by the commission to approve the agenda. And I guess I'd also question the legality of the hearing meeting that we had. There was not advertised 24 hours in advance. It was never changed on the official county website. And it should have been, according to state statute. And next would be the pay request for the contractor that was paid on December 3rd for the $86,990.90. When I questioned the process that was used to make this decision, the commissioner stated it was discussed and payment was for equipment rental. The commissioner also stated that it was discussed when claims were approved when it was paid. This would have been at the December 3rd meeting. I said I would check it out, and the commissioner wrongly stated the fact that there had been discussion. There was no discussion of any of the items on the claims list. So if there was a discussion on the payment for this claim item, it didn't happen at a commission meeting. According to state statute 7-8-16, it reads in part, all matters pertaining to the interests of the county shall be heard by the board in session only. So I'm not questioning whether the payment should have been made as much as the process this commission used in making that decision. My reason for questioning the process you used for the partial payment is because this was not the normal way this commission has been conducting the business. There have been partial payments made in the past, and they've been listed on the agenda for a motion to be made and passed.
Well, that's in the claims, so the people they are approving the claims. They all know what it is.
I'm not questioning the claims, I'm questioning the process you used. You said there was a discussion on it, and there was no discussion on it. So if you had one, it didn't happen at a commission meeting. That's what I'm referring to. And also the jail advisory board meeting is going to be held on January 14th, and it's not open to the public, and it was stated they were meeting at a secret place. It was previously stated the meetings would take place at the courthouse. So I've heard that the meetings are taking place at a commissioner's place of business, with this commissioner sitting on the advisory board. This has indications of impropriety.
Where are you gonna have room for 12 people? At least 12 people.
Courthouse?
There's there's not room for 12 people to sit around the table in the commissioner's office.
I think you can make accommodations at the courthouse.
It's not a public meeting, so what difference does it make where it's being held at?
Well, I just think it's inappropriate to have a meeting at a commissioner's place of business when he's also sitting on the advisory board. That's my opinion, and that's what I'm voicing here today.
Well, we have Warhawk meetings at the guy's place that he's in charge of it out in the middle of the country. So I disagree with your findings.
And I'm also concerned about the enforcement of the decision this board has made concerning past due accounts at the county landfill. The fact that interest would be charged on past due accounts and that accounts not current would have restrictions placed on those said accounts. And so I'm just wondering, are these being enforced? Has any interest been charged on any of the accounts at the landfill that the commissioners are aware of?
Yeah.
Sure. 1.5%, anything over 45 days.
So are there any reports that substantiate that fact that there's been interest charged?
When the monthly report comes out, probably will state the interest separately.
Okay, so there hasn't been any interest charged.
There has been interest charged, I just stated that. 1.5% interest on any accounts over 45 days past due.
So when the interest started, those interest charges are on the landfill reports that have been handed in?
The landfill reports aren't completed yet for December.
So interest didn't start till December 1?
Interest was on the November invoices that were sent out to everyone. And they were on the December invoices that were sent out to everyone. I don't understand your question, I guess. You want something separate on the report stating what the interest was charged and to who and how much? Is that what you're requesting?
I'm not.
I can definitely look into seeing if I can get that done for you.
Pardon?
I can definitely look into seeing if I can get that done for you.
I was just questioning if it had been done.
Yes, it
I
has
didn't
been
say
done.
I needed special.
It has been done. Has been done.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else? Jared? Convene as a Board of County Commissioners. Selection of Commission Chairperson for 2020.
Make a motion for Scott Schilling to be chairperson.
Okay, I got a nominee. Anybody else?
And I'll second that motion. Make it unanimous.
You can make that. What are you making there?
I'll second the motion and make it as unanimous. That you determine. Close all future nominations.
Okay, I got a motion on the floor. I need a second.
I'll second.
Got a second. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion passed. Number 18, selection of Commission Vice President for 2020.
Make a motion for Mary Schlumberg to be vice chair.
I'll make a motion, nomination cease. I need a second.
Second.
Got a second. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion passed. Designation of official county newspaper. Which ones are they again now?
Selby Record and Mobridge Tribune.
Okay, I'll need a motion for that.
I so move.
Got a motion on the floor. I need a second.
A second.
Got a second. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion passed. Designation of volunteers, do we have any?
Not that I'm aware of.
Jim?
I didn't have any.
Should we designate Jim?
Okay, we'll move on. Designation of official county depository.
We need all four listed, Bank West, Dakota Bank, Great Western, and Wells Fargo.
Okay, I'll need a motion for that.
I so moved.
Okay, got a motion on the floor, I need a second.
Second.
A second, any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed say nay. Motion passed. I got a list of all the appointments for everybody. Just run them off then.
Board appointments for Chairman Schilling. We've got Schilling on Highway, Building Maintenance, 4-H Complex Policy, or 4-H Complex Policy Committee, Landfill, Northeast Council of Governments. Holgard, Jail, Building Maintenance, Warhawk, Emergency Management, Northeast Council of Governments, and the Weed Board. Schlomer, Highway, Jail, Insurance, Investments, and Finance and Purchasing. Hauk, Ambulance, North Central RC&D, 504 Task, and ADA. Martin, North Central Regional 911, Ambulance, Regional Aging Council. And then on the separate boards, North Central Regional 911, Davis Martin and Kurt Ostron are listed. Emergency Disaster Coordinator is Amanda Silbernagel. Veteran Service Officer Stephen Folk. Warhawk Emergency Management Coordinator Ted Schweitzer. Family Assistance Coordinator Brenda DeToy. Purchasing Rebecca Crine, Nyla Moak, Jim Hauk, and Marion Schlomer. Insurance Rebecca Crine, Marion Schlomer. Northeastern Mental Health Phyllis Cudwell. Did you want to stay on that, Phyllis? Okay. Personnel Policy Jim Hauk, Kevin Holgard, Marion Schlomer, Davis Martin, Scott Schilling, Rebecca Crine, Nyla Moak, Casey Thomason, Gary Byrie, and Josh Bowl. 504 Task and ADA, Commissioner Jim Hauk, Auditor Rebecca Crine, non-elected employee Deborah Call, Veteran Service Officer Stephen Volk, County Handicapped Representative at Large vacant. Building Maintenance Scott Schilling and Kevin Holgard, 4-H Complex Policy Committee, Commissioner Scott Schilling, Auditor Rebecca Crine, and Highway Superintendent Gary Byrie. Medical Equipment Committee, Walworth County Representative Brenda DeToy, Selby Legion Auxiliary Representative Phyllis Prasick, Java Legion Auxiliary Representative Lois Wolf, and Selby Lioness Representative Florence Karst. Television Translator District, Phyllis Pudwell. Weed Board, Commissioner Kevin Holgard, Darren Thorstensen, Jason Burns, and Scott Zambo.
We are looking to put somebody else on, but we don't have anybody yet.
And one more will be added. No.
Pardon?
Did I need a motion?
You've appointed all of those anyhow as chair, so I don't think we need that.
They got too many things on there. They're taking so long.
Determination of 2020 salary for Walworth County Commissioners, $10,743.46.
Not enough.
I added that on there because that is what was agreed upon during budget time with the 53-cent increase for all. So that's why I put what that amount would be.
We'll need a motion for that.
Make the motion.
Okay, I got a motion on the floor, I need a second.
I'll second.
Got a second, any more discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion passed. Authorized publication of complete list of salaries of all officers and employees.
I so moved.
A motion on the floor, I need a second.
Second.
A second, any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion passed.
Here, got it.
Consider motion to adopt resolution WC 2020-01, resolution of established election officials fees. The resolution to establish election official fees may be necessary to appoint election officials in 2020. SDCL 12-15-11. The fee paid to election officials shall be established annually by the Board of County Commissioners at its first regular meeting of the year. The Walworth County Board of Commissioners that for the year of 2020 election officials shall be paid as follows. Precinct Superintendent, $17 an hour. Precinct Deputy, $15 per hour. County Board officials, $15 per hour. Election school attendance, $25. Adopt this 7th day of January 2020 by the Board of Commissioners. I'll need a motion for that.
So moved.
Okay, got a motion on the floor. I need a second.
Second.
Got a second. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion passed. Consider motion to adopt resolution WC 2020-02, resolution establishing fees allowed by funeral director. May be necessary to conduct county burial as per SDCL 28-17 in 2020. Pursuant to SDCL 28-17-4, the county shall allow the funeral director for merchandise and such services rendered a sum to be established by resolution of the Board of County Commissioners in such county at the organizational meeting. Walworth County Board of Commissioners that for the year 2020, the funeral director shall be allowed the following: maximum dollar amount for merchandise and services rendered for the county burial, outside container at a cost required and acceptable invoice as is provided, $2,500. Dated and adopted this 7th day of January 2020 by the Board of Commissioners. I'll need a motion for that.
That's a move.
Okay, I got a motion on the floor. I need a second.
I'll second.
Got a second. Any more discussion?
About the same price as it was last year.
First, the resolution was not read properly.
What do you mean?
It would be a maximum dollar amount for merchandise and services rendered for county burial of $2,500 and an outside container at cost when required on top of the $2,500. And that is the same as it was last year.
Bad. Any other discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion passed. Consider motion to adopt resolution WC 2020-03, resolution to establish salaries for elected officials. Walworth County has established the following elected positions: county treasurer, county auditor, county register of deeds, county state's attorney, and county sheriff. SDCL 7-7-9.1, SDCL 7-7-12, and SDCL 7-12-15, respectively. The Board of County Commissioners shall establish by resolution the salaries payable to said elected officials. The Walworth County Board of Commissioners that for the year 2020 the salaries payable shall be as follows. County treasurer, $45,114.85. County auditor, $46,584.60. Register deeds, $45,114.85. State's attorney, $80,260.26. County sheriff, $54,388.62. County coroner, $150 per call. Dated and adopted this 7th day of January 2020 by vote of the Board of Commissioners. Take a motion for that.
I so move.
Got Got a motion on the floor, I need a second.
No second.
Got a second, any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion passed. Let's have a 28, consider motion to approve claims we paid as presented. Has everybody had a chance to go over them?
I so move.
Okay, I got a motion on the floor. Need a second?
Second it.
Got a second. Any more discussion?
Real quick. So all of the vehicles are paid for already for this year?
Josh? Are all of your vehicles that they've been submitted?
Weed board, as you said, vehicle's supposed to be taken out January, this pay period.
Has anybody vouchered it yet?
That's Zambo did.
We haven't received anything, as far as I'm aware. Marcy? Have you received a invoice or anything for the weed pickup? No.
Okay, I will give it to him. So it should have been paid. This pay period. Okay.
Anything else? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion passed. Gary?
We didn't even move.
I'm asking for county commissioners' comments on this preliminary cost estimate provided by KLJ for County Road 101. If you remember, the last meeting, you guys asked me to put together a cost for improvements on that 4-mile section relating to access to the dairy farm. I think having talked to people that this is well in advance of when we really need it. Agree? I have not gotten a report on the engineering preliminary estimate for road improvements yet, but I did sign an agreement with KLJ Engineering at a cost of $1,650 to provide a preliminary estimate for road improvements on 101. When I get it, I will provide it to the commissioners and I will provide it to the public. Any objections, comments? Don't really want to muddy the water that this development is being handled at this stage on a haul road agreement. That binds us. Not binds us, but it satisfies our interest with the development. Any improvements afterwards, there could be none, or there could be a lot. It's subject to county commissioners' discretion. So, any questions, comments?
Do we need that at this time?
The purpose of getting this preliminary estimate together was to aid us in looking for funding, grant monies, DOT grant monies to provide a good road system post-construction of the facility. That's going to be an ongoing thing for the future, but right now it probably is just muddying the water. We have made no commitment to road improvements above and beyond what exists or the maintenance of any damage that occurs on the road today.
Follow me? When would those grant have to be applied for to get the, if we went that way, when would they have to be applied for to get started on reconstructing the road?
I've heard a lot of numbers, and I think you guys have probably heard the same numbers, that I think if application is made for one, I think it's a 6-month period from receipt of the application to the award. In reality, if the haul road agreement, when approved and by all the entities, that's going to cover construction activity, which in my opinion extends the areas of concern to the commissioners, that if construction goes on for 2 years, it's covered by the haul road agreement. If construction goes on a year, we would want to make sure that we have all the possibilities in place for grant monies when it comes out of the haul road agreement. Understand? So, like I said, I haven't gotten that estimate, but I have committed to paying KLJ $1,650 to provide us an engineering estimate for road improvement, so.
Yes, ma'am.
It states that all applications must be, for grants are due by July 15th of each year. The information that was sent to Gary and I.
Jared, if everything went good, when would you foresee operations starting out there? Would it be 2022?
Well, they said they want, if they can get everything approved, the permits and all that, to start this spring, and to try and have all the concrete and everything, structures up, so that they can work inside all winter to start in, I don't know, 18 months or something like that.
So would we need that grant application put in this year or next year?
I would assume it's 18 to 24 months when they, to build, yeah.
I think we're preliminary.
No, but I'm just saying, if it only goes until July, and if everything gets approved with the conditional use permit and they get all the permitting started, could we apply this year with the understanding of whenever that project would get done to start this, but have preliminary approval for the funding? Or do we wait until the following year and just hope?
Yet to be considered. I think the earliest application was April, I think. So we've got 3 months to consider and get a better feel for where the completion factor is going to be. We don't want to be doing, or it'd be my opinion, we don't want to be doing road construction activity at the same time of any of the development. Basically, it's what you got, you're going to maintain, but the coordination factor is on me. And I think we're a little bit early on it, so.
I was just saying, for this, can we apply with the understanding of when the project is completed? It might be a year down the road, but would that help out with the state to get it, so we would have an idea a year ahead of time?
Yes, Becky.
Do you have to use the grant funds in the same year?
I don't know that. I need to.
Read through the information.
Something we can check on
Yeah.
in the next 3 months.
It'd be nice if we got approved for the end of it, so at least we would.
If you're considering any, from what I just heard, that the extreme end of that thing is a 2-year construction process, gets us to 2022. I would hope to assume that in 2021, grant applications are made. All of the funding is in place and you guys determine whether we do any involvement. I made that comment earlier. If you're looking at improvements, I'm looking at consulting engineers coming on board, even maybe during the grant process, but have everybody in place so that when the developer construction stuff is near the end, we have all our T's crossed and I's dotted to possibly consider a construction project in 2022.
That's what I was getting at, is this
Yep.
Saturday,
And I've got next item is I've got a cost proposal from KLJ again for hydraulic study on sizing replacement structure at the Ted Mackey residence over Rieger Creek, south of Selby, and that is not to exceed $1,200. This is for your information, and I don't know if you want to make a motion to the effect of approving that, or...
That's kind of within your scope. I don't think there needs to be.
Yeah, I'm bringing it to your attention that I'm spending $1,200 to have an engineer come in and size a structure for the timber bridge that we've got restrictions on now, so...
Gary, which bridge, is it the one that's right by Slinsky's or the one by Maintenance?
By making
By
the
Maintenance.
timber bridge structure that
By
we
Slinsky.
signed.
Is that a wooden bridge there by
That's a
Slinsky?
timber bridge, yep.
By Slinsky's.
That's coming out, and a high possibility an arch metal corrugated pipe goes in a replacement. And I want to say that's going to be county portion.
Okay, I was just wondering.
Yep. And I think we've gotten over 2 foot of snow this winter. There are some issues that are popping up, private driveway stuff. 96 and 97 under my management. We, if there was 2 routes to a residence, and we realized that the winter was early and the possibility of more snow was coming, we held off on providing 2 primary access points to a resident. For the one I can think of is the substation east of Glenham, 2 miles going north. Internally, we selected that we're not going to open that. We're giving you 1 access in and out of your residence. We are not at that position yet, but if the winter continues to get long, I want the public to know that that program is going to be revisited. As far as doing private driveway work, I would like to say if the winter gets long, then we're not going to be doing any private driveway assistance at all to commit to the county highway system. Preliminary comments is what they are. If that would happen, and anybody listening to this presentation, if you want to get involved in private driveway work, feel free to call the office and give us a phone number in case somebody wants us to do private driveway work. Later through the season, we can put them in contact with the private people. Obviously, the contractors don't need to call, but letting the public know well in advance of the possibility that we do have a bad winter and it gets worse. Preliminary that this is the action that we're gonna take, so.
Could that be addressed when, if somebody does file a petition? Because, they have to file a petition in order to get the board to approve maintenance on private roads.
We,
We haven't received one yet.
the petition to do private driveway work, right?
Right.
I would forego that program if the situation got serious. Right now, it's a courtesy, well, not now because we haven't adopted it, but it's a courtesy to have the county highway department come in and do private driveway work. As long as it refresh the public's but reflect to the public that it's illegal for the highway department to perform services outside of our jurisdictional boundaries, i.e. a private driveway. If somebody comes in and you like to see at the beginning of the year and requests in a commission meeting that they would like to see that program stay alive, the commission at that time has discretion to enter into the program. The commission can say, no, we're not doing any private driveway work. When the county highway department does do private driveway work, it's 100% cost to the requesting party, whereby we're not spending tax dollars to provide the service. We become a mini contractor. So hopefully somebody comes forward over the next month to bring that program back into existence. You know if it was done last year?
We've been having that same one send it to me every year. I think it was.
Yep. On the positive side, I've been kind of hearing no snow in January, which is a good thing. I hope that's correct.
But at that time, the board could deny
Yes.
the petition to do the maintenance.
Or take at my discretion that if we had time to do it, we do it. But if not, we would abandon it and deal with the fallout after that. So.
Do we have a set fee for that, or is it, you say it's just
It's
cost?
the equipment rates and labor that you establish as you did this morning on the labor. I would like to think the second meeting of this month, you will be getting, you would be provided the projected equipment rates for 2020 operations and grant your approval. Either grant approval, make adjustments up or down, but ultimately set the equipment rate schedule for this fiscal year. So that's coming.
Okay, perfect.
Questions?
Property.
Got them down.
New Jeff,
You
roughly.
wanted
Oh.
it down.
There's a back page, isn't there? I didn't bring my copy, but hey, you guys got yours? The tax deed properties in Java are down. There's some follow-up work to do on cistern on the Main Street property, and I think we need to cap the sewer line on the house property. I had a phone call that wondered if we did that.
That one's got a backflow valve in
Yeah,
it already,
and-
so
And,
can't go back.
yeah, the cistern thing, there was some concern that we left a pile of dirt. We put a safety fence around it. I wasn't real knowledgeable about what cisterns do, but as soon as we attempted to fill it back in, there was quite a bit of water in the cistern. And to minimize with backfill, dirt going in, a hole full of water, there's displacements. the water comes to the top and we neglected to fill it in totally with the concern that the water that would be generated from the displacement would run down to the cafe area, and I wanted to minimize that. So that's something that will be followed up this spring. If you can, I think the cost information for the public, I think it was $19,500 for 2 structures. That sound right? I don't have my copy with me. I think there was 153 tons of rubble hauled to the landfill. That sound right?
I have that, which I don't have it up here with me, but there is a bill for the county that you guys also need to decide if you guys are paying the landfill or what's gonna happen with that.
How does the commission want to do that? It's our problem, but
We'll have to pay the landfill, won't we?
Well, when Mobridge tore down buildings, we didn't charge them, but
I would say we do it the same way with the other properties, where we pay half of it.
yes, Becky.
that was a private entity, that wasn't a government entity. When the city of Mobridge tore down Overby's house, the county didn't charge for that. Or the landfill did not charge for that, per the memorandum that was agreed upon back in 2015 with the city of Mobridge.
So 353 ton, what?
It was approximately $3,200. Exactly.
The one from Java.
Yep, the Java properties. That's the total cost of the landfill.
Now, correct me if I'm right on that with Mobridge, isn't it just one house a year that they're given?
Let me pull it up here and tell
think
you
that's
exactly what it says. I believe it had
it's one
more, I
structure a
don't
year.
think it's stated. Let me look though.
That's what they
That's the
want.
only one they've done in
But they said there would be maybe 1 or 2 a year.
4 years. Yeah, they've only done one in 4 years, so, and that one was,
That's just what they thought it was.
Okay, so it states about the roadways, and then, nuisance properties within Mobridge city limits. Walworth County and the city of Mobridge agree that they have common goals related to developing long-term solutions to clean up and abate nuisance properties located in the city of Mobridge. Regarding nuisance abatements, Walworth County will provide equipment and staff to assist with the demolition and cleaning up of nuisance properties with advance notice of the project from the city of Mobridge. Walworth County will also waive landfill fees related to nuisance property rubbish and consider waiver of other municipal disposal fees on a case-by-case basis. Regarding nuisance abatement, the city of Mobridge will mow undesirable vegetation from Walworth County properties as needed and provide equipment and staff to assist with demolition and cleaning up of nuisance properties with advance notice of the project. It does not say a number of how many.
That's just what they thought it was.
Right,
Then we
so,
should be- we should have the same entitlement as Mobridge then.
so the fees be waived. It makes me no difference, I just need to know what you guys want done. I have the bill ready if you're planning on paying it.
I would say we-
I would guess it should be submitted to us anyway, and then
Did we put it through these vouchers, Marcy?
I didn't see it.
Okay, so it's downstairs. I want to discuss it. See what you guys want to
So
do.
I guess it should be submitted to us, and then we got 2 weeks to think about it.
Then we can,
Then you can decide then. Okay. Yes, Jim?
what do you want to do with those properties now? That nuisance structures are down, you want to get rid of them, or?
I would think we would want to get rid of it, wouldn't we?
Now, there's no need to hang on to them, so I'll put them up for, that's all right. Put them up to get rid of the lots.
Yeah, I guess the only thing I would guess that's going through Gary's mind right now is that one that still has that cistern deal. But that probably won't happen for a while.
We'll just put that in the sale, notice of sale, that there's a cistern on the property that needs to be addressed. we're not gonna get much for those properties anyhow, it's just we want to get
I won't
them.
get enough to pay the landfill bill.
No, not even close, but it would be good to get them out of our
Right.
list of properties that we have.
Yes,
On
but-
somebody else.
The only other thing I have to mention about that is we did receive notification, I don't know, did you get a copy of that, Gary? Where the DENR did close our permit out for the Jabber Rebel site.
Yes.
Anything else, Gary?
Was there, with regard to that, was there reimbursement to the highway department in fiscal year 19, or is that coming, or?
That's also something that needs to be discussed.
Well, Jamie, how can we do that?
Well, I think that your budget wasn't set up to absorb it. Now we're in 20, it's gonna have to be done in 20 on how you want to compensate the highway department for their wear and tear and labor, et cetera, just like with the landfill.
Yes, but
Basically, it would be a transfer.
Correct.
And I can still do 2019
Oh, can you?
transfers.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, so it could be accounted for in there. But the problem is the commissioners didn't have it in their budget either.
Okay.
So,
no, we didn't.
I don't know where we're supposed to get it from.
State's attorney.
I'm not gonna jump up and down or demand it because we're all part of the same team, but,
Is it gonna create any budgetary problems for you, or did it create any budgetary problems for you in 2019?
no.
And will it create any budgetary problems potentially for 2020?
No.
Do we just want to leave it as is?
I'm guessing if it's all right with him.
I think you should
I'm
document,
saying you owe me, but.
I think you should document what the cost was to the county, like you did, that it was X amount of dollars in materials, labor, tipping fees, all of that, if we would have had to pay them. So at least we have a record of what that cost was, just for wear and tear on equipment, stuff like that. So it's all of a sudden, oh, why do we need another dump truck? Well, this one has X amount of hours more than what we would have used if we had more damage to it when we were hauling out. And just for FYI for the future, does that kind of make sense? Or why wasn't this done when, well, because we spent, 300 employee hours on moving those sites and things like that. Just so we have an idea of what it's gonna cost in the future.
I believe that's documented in your guys' program.
Huh?
I believe that's documented in your guys' DWARE program.
And you just have to document the landfill stuff.
Well, we're not to that yet, because we'll submit it, and then you guys can remove the claim, if that's the way you want to do it.
Anything else, Gary?
Nope.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, discussion regarding extension and poor relief.
Yay, that's me. Thanks for seeing me today. Got a lot of stuff, but you know me, I like printouts, and we have something to go by as well. First, I'd like to start with our poor relief.
Over.
Yep. There's no,
There's actually there for that reason.
yeah, there's no privacy information on here. So.
Yeah, and you want this to go where?
Over by
In the
Josh.
bush.
No, poor relief is all case numbers. There's never any mention of an individual. First, I'd like to talk about a big pending 3 cases that we have, and that would be case M 2019 B1, B2, and B3. The individual is a resident of Walworth County. It is the same individual. After doing, I did meet with this individual, and after doing the paperwork, the individual did not qualify. This is deniable simply because the individual had opportunity to obtain health insurance from the marketplace The individual failed to pay the $33.31 a month premium. If it had been paid, the individual would have been covered and only had a $200 out-of-pocket deductible. The total cost of this marketplace plan was $1,380 a month to you and I. And the individual was able to make this premium payment. On case B1, the claim amount is $4,833.74. On B2, it's $30,862.05. B3 is $208,946.85. All these would be savings to the county. I have been in contact with the individual and also with the hospitals regarding that the individual did have health insurance at that time, but the payment plan had come out of a non-existing account, so the individual was given 2 months to pay and no payment, so needless to say. I also spoke with the individual because in the paperwork we had looked at, the individual qualifies again for a great health plan for $88.10 a month, because that's how much her income, the income had changed. And I suggested that the individual do this because is scheduled for surgery January 27th of this year, which could be substantially close to $208,000 a month deal. This is just to kind of let you know we haven't won it. I'm not asking for denial or an acceptance, because we're still, I just kind of wanted you to know where we were at and how much money is out there. Everything that I do with for relief, it would be deniable because the individual had the ability to pay and have good insurance. It means you have a plan that's a $200 deductible. That's a pretty good plan, $200 out of pocket a month. But that's just kind of food for thought, just kind of letting you know I have a few more cases that maybe next month I'll bring up too that could be potential. You know, that we might have to fight or discuss depending upon if we deny or we accept. Then I want to talk to you about the mental health claims, which is the second page.
These are just not to interrupt, but these are just kind of FYIs, so don't let the ability to have insurance is a great reason for us to deny, even though we're not saying that that's why we're denying. But I think Brenda's main thing is I wanted to let you guys know that it was out there, that our exposure is very limited on this due to the fact that the individual under our guidelines doesn't qualify and also could have had medical insurance. So don't freak out at that $200,000 number. Sorry, Brenda.
That's all right.
4,000.
The mental health claims for the year of 2018, I took a chance and had a chance to go through all the files. We actually had 44 involuntary mental health commitments that were begun in this county in the year 2019. Out of those 44 involuntary holds, 22 were not residents of Walworth County. 22 were residents, and out of the 22 from Walworth County, 5 of the individuals had insurance, 6 of the individuals were not held. 1 was voluntary, so it's deniable, because that should have been a pre-authorized visit. 1 was vouchered on 12/16 of 2018 this year for the amount of $703, and 9 of these individuals have no insurance. At this point, I'm not asking again for any denials or anything. I'm letting you know what transpired, and my being a thought after talking with Jamie is that even out of the 9, I don't see where we're going to be paying any of those. But I do want you to know, here's some facts for you. The sheriff transport, I don't know what it costs for him to transport an individual, but out of those 44 holds, sheriff transport money was taken out of his budget. The QMHP, the Qualified Medical Health Professional, which has to be done before they go down, is $175 to $225 per person, so that's times 44. Board services and fees, that depends if they decide to fight the case, if they have an attorney. Becky, typically it's got to be about what, $350 a person to $550 a person?
No, some of them are very small vouchers. We'll get like a bigger voucher from one of the board members and then smaller vouchers from the other ones. So, I mean, I don't know approximately because they vary so much.
They do. They do
so I
vary.
wouldn't have an approximate amount of what each person would cost to go through the board.
Right.
But we just get a stack of board members vouchers and we have to pay them out.
So those board service and fees, take that times 44. And so there's some big monies that are coming out of different funds that are paying for this. The QMHPs, the Qualified Medical Health Professionals, coming out of the mentally ill services and fees. The board services, the board and services fees comes out of the mental health board services and fees, separate account. And everything for the sheriff is coming out of his account for the transporting the fees. So, I'm hoping, I know you, go ahead.
Even the ones out of county?
Because we were the sending county, we have to pay them, and then we can try to get them reimbursed from the other counties. We as a county are pretty good about reimbursing. We've reimbursed a few counties. I'm thinking about how to phrase this. There are a ton of them that will not get paid because if I was Native American and I lived in this county, they would say that all those bills would be paid through the tribe. And it's kind of, the tribe gets so many federal dollars for health, and once that's used up, they have no more dollars. So it can take a long time to get money from the tribal agencies. Because I'm not saying that they don't pay, but they have just that block of money, and once that block of money is gone. So there's a lot of counties that will not reimburse that because they claim white versus Califino, that because it's tribal, that tribal has to pay for that. So we have been unsuccessful at this time, always trying, but unsuccessful about getting any of these funds
I'm
back.
just curious if there was an attempt to get it back from out of county.
Yep, I always try, but, and I've tried, I have a source where I can send that for tribal reimbursement too, but again, like I said, once that block of money is gone, those federal dollars are gone, then they have to wait until the next influx of monies or, so that's kind of how it sets. So I just kind of wanted to give you a synopsis of where our mental health went for 2019. I right now at this point have no new folders for 2020, knock on wood. But I'm hoping that after we did increase those budgets for 2020 that we have enough. And I want you to know we're not the only county that is being hurt by the increase of mental health cases. Just about every county in the state of South Dakota is suffering with having to deal with this crisis, and it is because we see a lot of people who need some mental health issues addressed. There's either no room for them or no place for them, or they're being held all over the United States in jails, prisons, and they end up there versus in some place that they can be helped. But, it's a space issue too. South Dakota has one spot, that's Yankton, for Human Services Center. If they can't take them there, you have the 3 other spots you can try, Sioux Falls, Rapid City, or Aberdeen. Aberdeen is usually full, so usually that one's not even an option, and so then it becomes Sioux Falls or Rapid City. So, you know, we're holding our own, but it's been a big increase, and it's a big bill, you know, for your budgets. Any questions?
Good job.
This one I'm most excited to present to you. I am excited about this one. Blank page there.
Yeah.
Happy coffee this morning. So excited.
I am excited about this one.
Oh, should be just one, right, Brenda?
Yes, it should be just one. This is about our Medicare Part D plan. This has been a project with me that is kind of near and dear to me, and I've really grown into, and I really enjoy it. Our open enrollment for Medicare Part D was October 15th of 2019 through December 7th of 2019. This year I was able to help 122 people from our county review their prescription drug plans. 98 of these people changed their prescription drug plan this year. 25 people remained with the same drug plan they had in 2018. I helped 15 people who were new to Medicare this year, which meant I was able to give them information on what they needed to do to get signed up for Part A, Part B, and help them find a drug plan, or maybe they were going to continue to stay working, and so they needed to know if their insurance was going to cover the Part B in the prescription drug plan, if they needed it, stuff like that. Also, I have the ability, and this was my first year at that, being able to refer 9 people to the Extra Help Program, which is through Social Security. It really helps somebody who's maybe on a limited income. As you all know, most of our retirees that are up there in age, if they were working, minimum wage was not $9.25 an hour or $7.25. It was, I started working for my father-in-law at 75 cents an hour. So when you think about the percentages that come out of your check that go to Social Security, the people that qualify for this program are probably not even getting $1,000 a month. And so what this does is helps pay their premiums and lowers the drug costs so that they're paying between $3 to $8.95 for any given drug. So it's beneficial. We're keeping people in their homes. We're keeping them able to stay up with their bills and not decide, well, am I going to take my drugs or am I going to eat this month? Or am I only going to take half my drugs this month and then the other half next month? The total amount of savings to the retired individuals in Walworth County was $72,637.45. That's a lot of money to keep in your county. You're keeping it in their pockets. Hopefully, you know, it helps pay their taxes. It helps fund whatever they do within our county. The average amount was $500 for an individual, and the average for a couple was $1,000. The biggest savings I had for one individual was $11,665.49 for the 2020 year. This year was very busy due to there was no extra help from the SHINE staff at the state level, and we also saw an increase in people due to premiums doubling and the cost of prescription drugs increasing. And this increased the number of people I saw. Last year, I helped 73. This year, it's 122 plus. And I say plus because I have a file folder full of people that are in the nursing home that need to take a look at their plan. I had to push them on the back burner because I can do them anytime. They can change their plan once a month. Because normally once you hit a nursing home, your needs can change like that. And so you can every month, and it can be a substantial savings, change that plan to go for their drugs. So that was my exciting news.
And it took you about an hour per person?
Takes about an hour per person. The reason why there is no help from the state this year is our new Shine coordinator was expecting her first baby, and she got put on bed rest. And then the number of people at the state office down in here was down as well, and I'm not sure why, how come, what the dealio is, but that's how that worked out. And here's our extension, another little extension thing for you.
I'm gonna switch to your coffee.
You want some of my coffee? I'm always kind of hard to settle me down once I get in this chair. I don't know, there's something about being in this chair does it to you. I just wanted to, I know that the budget was talked about, and Sherry clued me in that we were over, and then I watched the deal, and I wanted to give you a little blow-by-blow about what happened with the extension budget. These are the numbers at Sherry at 2,080 hours for the year at 1542. Me for 832 hours for the year at 1542 as well. Total wages would have been $44,903.04. We asked for, I believe on page 1, we asked for 46.5 and we were actually budgeted 38.9. There was 117.25 extra hours for me this year, bringing the total hours to 949.25 hours instead of the 832 that were allotted. I have listed below the pay periods where the extra time was incurred and the reasons why. Number 1, the pay period from 11/10 to 11/23/2019 with a check issued on 11/29/2019 had a total of 65.75 hours in extension. This was an extra 33.75 hours due to Medicare Part D and the 4-H recognition event. Pay period, number 2, pay period 10/27 to 11/9/2019 with the check issued on 11/15/2019 had a total of 55.25 hours in extension. This was an extra 23.25 hours due to Medicare Part D and the 4-H recognition event. Number 3, the pay period from 10/13 to 10/26/19 with the check issued on 11/1/2019 had a total of 53.75 hours in extension. This was an extra 21.75 hours due to Medicare Part D. Number 4, pay period from 9/29/2019 to 10/12/2019 with the check issued on 10/18/2019 had a total of 45.25 hours in extension. This was an extra 13.25 hours due to Medicare Part D training that I needed to attend to be able to do that. This totaled 92 hours for Medicare Part D in those 4 pay periods. And those Medicare Part D in those 4 pay periods, if there would have been help from the state, like there had been in the past, and if we hadn't seen the amount of people almost double, that would have never happened, because I've been pretty good about being able to balance that. I know that when the fair is here, or Medicare Part D, that'll be an extension more, and as soon as I can be, then I'm catching up in Jamie's office, or I'm catching up in the Core Relief office, and it's been pretty balanced as of until this year. And then there was also number 6, which was pay period from 7/21 to 8/3/2019 with the check issued on 8/9/2019. Had a total of 67.25 regular hours plus 14.50 hours of overtime. This was an extra 49.7 hours in extension, and that was due to achievement days. I have some ideas about both things. you know, maybe, when I first started in extension, and took over Patty's place, at that time, we did not have a youth program advisor. And they actually had one, and Jenna started the same time I did in May of 2013, or when I did. And that first year, they actually did the static exhibits one week and the livestock the next, instead of doing them in the same week. You know, there's the idea of maybe asking Sherry if that you can go back to that. The Medicare Part D, my thought is, do we want to transfer some of them hours over to poor relief, because virtually it would fit in either category, because as you can see down below, the state's attorney's office, I'm budgeted 832 hours. I actually worked 833.50 hours. So I was 1.5 hours over what Jamie had budgeted in his office for me. Poor relief, I actually worked 329.25 hours and was under 86.7 hours that was budgeted. And that has put me behind on poor relief, and I'm trying to catch up.
Wouldn't Medicare Part D fall under poor relief more than extension?
Well, that's, you know, it originally started under extension, but I think that, you know, we could balance that budget a little bit more, because the last thing I want to do is go over, and this is, you know, this has been one of those years where it has gone over. And so I want to make sure you understand, you know, where I'm at as well. But I think that you could put, you know, maybe split it between both deals, or else put it up under Medicare Part D. I mean, that's an option there. You know, I'm hoping that this year now, the baby's here, everybody's okay. Our new leader for Shine down at State, you know, that all these spots get filled and put in place the next year won't be quite so crazy. I mean, if you looked in my book, you could see October, November, and December down to the very last minute. There wasn't a day that I either didn't do Medicare Part D all day, every day, or one or two every day. And like I said, it was crazy. It's crazy because premiums doubled. The cost of prescription drugs went up substantially, and people were scrambling. I could not see everybody who wanted to see me.
Well, I was just saying.
I couldn't see them all, you know. I even did some trips on my own time, where I actually went to Mulbridge, and I was either at the library or at Burger King or in their home to help them. And you know, I did what I could, and I'm not asking to be compensated for that. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying it really was a crazy year. And typically we don't see that. And then it brings me to the fact that I'm concerned if we're not correctly budgeted for 2020. There's some things we can do. The last I heard, we were, what, 10,300 or something over our budget?
You have it attached to one of your documents.
Oh, I'm sorry, I do. Sorry about that. $10,093.59. Does that reflect the $6,000 to $7,000 that Campbell County will be paying us yet for the last quarter?
The budget that doesn't get added back into the budget when they pay us for her salary. It's receipted into revenue,
right?
But it's not reflected in the budget.
Right. But then, you know, that just brings me back to where we budgeted for 46.5 and we were given 38.9. That's a big difference. We actually needed $44,903.04. So, you know, there's, you know, and if that number is off, and it's taken, Becky, I'm not saying that it's you, because we started out where we only budgeted half of our time, not knowing about how Becky was going to handle or what needed to be done for what Campbell County paid us. But it's taken us long. This is as close as we've gotten, and then this year, it didn't help that all of this other, you happen, and we have a chance to move some of them hours or those things under different offices. But, once it's off for wages, because what I have for wages for the 2020 year is going to be $46,533.76. And so that has made all of the OASI, the Medicare, the retirement, the health insurance, it's all based off of those numbers, not health insurance, but all based off those wages numbers. So are we going to be right there? Are we going to be looking at the same problem? Do we want to eliminate that problem and take me down in hours in 4-H, 4 hours away, and then put me 4 hours in poor relief? I don't know. Those budgets have been made, and if I would have seen this coming, I would have alerted you to it. And my apologies for my part. I don't think anybody tried to make it over this budget, but these are the 5 places where that budget took a hit.
I would say move some of your hours of board release.
That would make the most sense.
Well, that is not a decision for me to make. That is your decision. And, or do you let Medicare Part D go? And for me, I think as commissioners, wouldn't that be awful hard when you're saving your constituents? $72,000 is a lot of money to keep in their pockets. So I don't know if that's a program you want to let go, or do you want to limit it just to 2 days? And that's all I do for extension through October 15th through December 7th. There's some things to think about there. I could say, well, I can take appointments on Tuesdays and Thursdays for Medicare Part D, and then that's all I do for extension. Sherry's on her own for the rest for that, 8 or 9 weeks.
No, just put some of the Medicare Part D under board release.
Starting this year.
How many hours do you want her to push?
It looks like even if you took half of that, 40 hours, looks like it would help you.
Yeah, and I want to do the right thing because I don't like to bust budgets, and but it's tight.
If she's gonna get help next year, hopefully, I would just recommend having her put all of her shine time under poor relief. I think that would be the simplest, because we still shorted. Then we would be really close to coming in on time on budget.
When it was discussed in budget time, we have half of her salary to state's attorney, a quarter to extension, and a quarter to court. As you said, half to extension, half of yours, and then all of Sherry's.
Right.
It was budgeted out for half to state's attorney, a quarter to extension, and a quarter to court.
The way I understand it, it's always been 16 hours for the state's attorney, 16 hours for Sherry, and 8.
But it got switched. I think I did. I don't remember what that discussion was, but that's the way it was.
I don't think it got switched. I think that got shot down because Jamie wanted me to do 16 in 4, 16 in state's attorney, and 8 in 4-H, and you got a lot of pushback, I believe. All your commissioners,
and I don't think it ever got resolved. But I think that's possibly the way it was budgeted. We have to look.
We'll have to look at it.
I would recommend just putting all of the shine time under poor relief. I think that will resolve most of your issues. Then we'll have to come back and reevaluate what the actual hours are, if that's what, and put it on the agenda for next meeting to change those hours. So
But hopefully
that's all right with you guys.
That's fine with me.
Hopefully taking the time and printing this out kind of helped you all out, showing you where those hours were accumulated and what I was actually doing, and why that was so drastic.
So this should help it up for this year.
This coming year, 2020. Yeah, so I didn't want to fall back into the same deal. I saved the worst to last. You noticed that, right?
Well, thank you for all your help and for all the savings that you've had to the county. Thank you for everything you do.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Brenda.
Thank you.
Okay, number 31.
We'd like to table that due to some changes that would like to be made.
Alrighty. Number 32, new business. Here none, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Got a motion on the floor, need a second? A second. All in favor, say aye.
All right.
You want me to shoot that traffic, Gary?